Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to DLR. It is the Austrian Grand Prix, and it's a sprint race weekend. It should be extra entertaining. The Red Bull Ring, a superb circuit, isn't it? It is 4.318 kilometers, 2.68 miles all the way around this circuit. 2 DRS zones, 3 DRS zones in fact, including the pit straight. 63.5 elevation. It is one of the more harsh, lofty tracks on the Formula 1 calendar, an action zone of here. Look at George Russell going down the inside in 2021 on Lance Stroll. This move went pretty well for him, almost as well as Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc in 2019. Then we all know about this corner in 2021. Leclerc went down the inside on Sergio Perez, and these two having an absolute huge scrap all the way throughout the course of that race in what overall was a pretty incredible season. Norris and Hamilton in 2021 again turned 6. Lando Norris got his first podium here at the Red Bull Ring in 2020. 3 compounds of tyres, of course, ahead of us for this. It's the fastest of the Pirelli range. Of course, the sprint race weekend gives them a higher amount as well. So we're just about to go down on to the circuit, and well, we're also going to be joining our secondary commentator this evening. And well, let's have a listen in.
The water from dissipating, but in these sort of conditions, there absolutely is. LPM, of course, he's struggling. Only on a 126 at the moment, and you'd expect more from a competitive car like a Mercedes, but it seems he's just struggling. As TNK goes fastest on a 113.1 in the Red Bull. It makes the Red Bull 1-2 then, proving that the best car in the best conditions, or in these conditions, is a key to being able to do well. Eric Homer there struggling on an invalid lap there. Luke Paul, H2O, struggling in these H2O conditions. He's currently second to last out of the people who've set a lap, and he comes through the final corner. Is he going to be able to? He's on a 144, so obviously not. He's obviously just preparing for that rather than finishing one. As SC comes across the line, he goes second on a 113.4, and I think it was Chelsea Kitchen who just came across the line. Went on a 114.4. Must have been invalid though, because it didn't count to their end time. Lazy Killer, unfortunately, 2 seconds off. Got to improve. If you got to get your foot down if you want to do well in these kind of sessions. Felix Baccarel.
Hello, we're live for the mainstream as well, so I thought I'd just interject in and say hello. But here for the qualifying session, we've got about 15 minutes left. We were a little bit late starting, but first of all, actually, I should ask, I know you've got different usernames across the various platforms. What would you like me to refer to you as, Mr. Maldonado?
You can refer to me as anything you like. I mean, I don't really care. I go by Nicky, I go by Maldonado, I go by Nedzo, I go by pretty much anything you'd ever want to call me. Apart from kinky names, I don't like those. But you can call me whatever you want, basically. Yeah.
I think
for those who are listening on my stream, if they're confused, I am currently on another stream. You might want to go and watch it, whatever it's on. I'll promote that in a minute. But if that's why you're wondering why I'm waffling, that's why. What were you going to say?
Yes, I think we'll go with Nicky. I think it's the simplest of the lot. The only person on a lap at the moment is SC. He's just started out in the Ferrari. Ferrari and Red Bull are embroiled in this championship battle, of course. It's been going on throughout the course of the season. It's more hard fought between the teams than, of course, the Drivers' Championship, which is pretty much just a Red Bull civil war at this point. But it's purple in Sector 1 for SC. Heads up to Sector 2, and this long turn 5, I think it is. Rather difficult corner, this one. Break at 100 metres in the wet. Not a great deal of ERS to play with here for SC. He's going to have to just hope that he can keep enough energy in the bank, but he is going on a pretty decent lap at the moment. 4th gear through the left-hander. Again, just keeping the car nice and stable. He's purple once again, so clearly his lack of energy is not really affecting him here, and this could very easily find itself as a pole position lap time. Of course, pole record does go to whoever gets qualified or gets the pole position in the qualifying session, and then the sprint race is just who starts the race on pole as a whole. SC comes to the line, 113.0. He does go fastest with 8 minutes to go.
He really struggled towards the end of that lap. He really struggled. What I have seen, I've watched SC for quite a long time. What I've seen for him is he's a very flat out kind of driver. He doesn't really like to make compromises, and I think that screwed him over in that last sector. He made into that second to last corner, Rint, I think it's called. I think he went a bit too deep, and that cost him at least a couple of attempts. So there is time in that lap for him to find. I do think that he needs to maybe tone it down in that last sector because, of course, I mean, maybe not on the intermediates, but definitely in the dry, you have to back off a bit more towards the end of the lap because your tyre temperature's a bit higher, your tyre wear is a bit higher, and you'll have less grip available. I think he does need to actually be a bit more calm, be a bit more smooth. That's why Jenson Button was so good in the way, because he used to just be so smooth and didn't really put much stress on the car, and he didn't put much stress on the tyres, which allowed him to just carry a lot of confidence in the wet conditions because those are more slippery and more akin to those smooth driving styles. I think that's a very good point to have. If you have a more aggressive driving style, you tend to be struggling in the wet, unless you're out in centre, and then you just decide to bugger off with any logic. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting session. People like, for example, Hein was very high up early in the session, and he's actually keeping with the lead runners in terms of time. He's 5 tenths quicker than his own teammate, and I think he could definitely put in a good performance if you keep up with him. I think he's just started a lap actually. Hein has in the Williams, just coming through turn one, nicely through turn one there. For third gear, there's an Alpine coming out of the pits, but it doesn't seem to affect him as he comes down towards turn three. Then turn two is a flat out kink in these intermediate conditions. Brakes just on the 100-meter board, gently turns in, tips the car in. He's not pushing the car at all hard. You can see a bit of what's it called, a bit of wheel spin on the exit, but you can tell this kind of smooth style where you kind of turn in and then put on the power or then put on the brakes. It kind of can help you. As JBX has actually set the fast stuff, I think the track is definitely drying up as Hein goes a little bit wide there, or it goes a bit oversteer on the exit of that corner, and gently through turn five. Then you've got to be smooth. You've got to be careful. You've got to be collected. You can't be smashing on and off the throttle. You can't be smashing on the throttle at all, really, in the wet conditions, because it will chew you up and spit you out on this game. Like a piece of chewing gum. As we come through sector 3 now, come on, can he keep it clean? Can he keep it well done? These two are killer corners for corner cutting and track limits, and he's going to come across a line in a minute, and he's not going to improve. That's a bit disappointing, but SC has.
Yeah, it's been a superb lap from SC, 112.7. He certainly got the pace to match the Red Bulls. It's all going to be about timing as the track starts to dry ever so slightly. We don't think we'll get to dry running in the next 5 minutes, but I think we'll certainly see a bit faster lap times coming through, as evidenced by SC's 112.7. I don't think he's improved by a second and a half over the course of a lap. I'm trying to look to see if there's anyone else on a lap, and I believe that TN is coming round the final corner now. Will either go into the pits or continue. He is going to continue, and in fact, he looks to be continuing pretty quickly indeed. Coming up to the line, it might just sneak into pole position. This one it won't. It's a 12.913, which is not the greatest of lap times when trying to get pole position here, but he is able to go into third or stay into third and has got a pretty good cover from the McLaren behind. A few more people jumping up. Lazy Killer in the Alpha Tauri, I believe, just jumped up the order. Eric Home, most likely the one. Alpine up into 6th position. Very competitive car as well, and I can tell you that we've got the first person contemplating, at least, running the soft tyres down in 5th position. It's Jaragan GT.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting call because this could definitely be a case of last car over the line gets pole position. Very much like the opposite of what Magnussen had in Sao Paulo this season, or even like a Hulkenberg 2010 kind of situation where someone risks it, someone in the lower team risks it on the dry tyres in conditions that might not be dries when you initially come out of the pits, but on that flying lap, if the track dries up enough and you're on the perfect tyre, you could be on pole even in a Williams or in a what's it called, the Aston Martin. You could definitely put yourself up in those big positions if you take a gamble. But then again, that gamble could not pay off. You could have a George Russell Canada situation where you just start skating off a track and look like an absolute melon head. I'm trying to see if anyone is on a lap. So is there anyone? Felix Backer has backed off. Is TNK on a lap?
No,
I think
not.
he might be. He's burning ERS. He's burning
Oh no,
ERS.
he
He's
is.
10th up, so he may as well be.
Yes, he
Going
definitely
into
is.
the
He's
turn
purple in
three
sector
corner.
1, isn't he?
He's purple in sector 1. Of course, that track is drying up. I think it could. There's no more water coming down from the skies. I think it could be dry by the end of here. Definitely these dry, slick tyres. Maybe not fully dry, but I think a dry line could definitely appear and could definitely allow these drivers. There is still a bit of rain on the lens and maybe a couple of drops coming down, but nothing too severe. I think we could see DRS enabled in the last minutes here. So keep your popcorn ready. Keep yourself glued to the TV screens as TNK comes through the second sector 3/10ths up. So this is currently on track to get in provisional pole position. But remember, this is just provisional pole position. This isn't guaranteed pole position. This is provisional because, and he's coming into the pits. He's cut across the grass, to be fair, which I think is a bit dodgy, to be fair. But he might be trying to put on some soft tyres because he just wants to get out and get the fastest tyres on. I think this is definitely going to be a case of last car over the line is going to get the best track. I'm not sure about you, but I think this could be very entertaining as Luke Paul has just gone 8th place.
Yeah, definitely. And
Retired on the exit of turn 1.
That's frustrating, but I think here the Red Bull they've had to jump this gun and go into the pits. It looks like JB might be wanting to come into the pits as well. We'll wait and see. The race director has warned the teams.
He's got to carry on. He's not got enough time. His feet. Sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's got a good point. He's got to carry on here, and I think that's what he's going to do. So JB across the line. TN falls down the order further as Lazy Killer goes 4th position. The track is all but dry at the moment, and we're seeing a few people just wanting to take the gamble, but not quite willing to do so just yet. That dry line is there. However, look at this. There's a little bit of spray as he heads over some of the other sections of the circuit, but purple in sector 1 for JBX221 gets it perfect out of turn 3 as well. This is the most important lap of the afternoon so far, because this is the one that is going to be on the best track for your money. And well, in a Red Bull as well, he's got plenty of chance to get ahead of the curve in this, and I think that's exactly what he's going to try to do. Heading up through sector 2, a little bit of Ferrari as traffic hit, as I don't think we have had anyone actually jump onto slicks. I think it is still intermediate conditions. It's just one of those intermediate conditions that is the best, as the McLaren goes onto pole position. So can JB manage to get himself up into that top spot, as the track is clearly improving exponentially here? McLaren 1-2 at the moment. JB looking to upset the ante a little bit and take his pole position back off of them, crossing the line 1:11.4. He does do so emphatically by a second.
Let's have a look and see who else is there. I think it's going to be definitely a case of last one across the line. I don't know who will be the last person to cross the line. Probably the Aston Martin, actually, of Twins will be the last person to cross the line to start their lap. He looks like he's in prime position to possibly take a shock result here. What we'll do is when the checkered flag flows, do you want to just cut to the last person the last person on their lap? As he's gone invalid on the last corner, will that affect his lap? It will. Oh no, the Aston Martin has gone invalid, so that lap won't count. There's a Williams coming through the last sector though. It's Luke Paul, I think, and it is. It's Luke Paul. He's got no ERS and he's gone invalid, unfortunately for him. So that is not going to be a valid lap for him. Ricardo is the next person who's going to come into the pits. And then you've got LPM, who's coming around the final corner. He's definitely in contention for pole position. He's going to come across the line, stay second, but he's gone 5/10 quicker. Only 5/10 on the pole. Who's next to try and challenge? Hine goes third in the Williams. Unbelievable. And Lazy Killer is going to come across the line. Where's he going to go? Is he going to surprise us? Oh, yes, actually. Second place, my bad. As JBX goes even further onto pole position, cements his position. SC goes second. Everyone is improving in these late stages.
Keep an eye on this, as TN is the last man on a lap, and he is going to have the best track here, and surely his favourite pole position. Heads through the final corner now. What's it going to be? It might not be fast enough, actually, but he comes up to the line. He's just going to sneak through. 10.4 by 4/10 of a second. In fact, he hasn't just snuck through at all. He has absolutely pummeled the competition. He goes, uses that best track that probably is actually dry, ironically, just as the session ends, and he goes to pole position.
I think that was a real shame from the Aston Martin at the end there, because they definitely had chance to capitalise on their track conditions. Hine in the end then, he went third provisionally, but he's down to 8th, which I think is a real disappointment. He could have, with better track conditions, he could have improved that position. So at the end, after after a interesting in wet qualifying session where we could have seen some upsets, we get a Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes top four, which is the opposite of interesting. But there are some players further back as DRS got enabled, as you can see, just at the end of that session. So it wasn't that far away from dry conditions. Lazy Killer up in fifth then in the AlphaTauri. He could definitely play a role, especially if he's asked to defend for the Red Bulls. That could be an interesting dynamic to see if if the Red Bull guys tell him to do a bit of a holding up job, a bit of a park in the bus strategy. And if you're going to pick any track to do a park in the bus strategy at, I think Austria is probably one of the worst ones to have to do it because you've got three back-to-back DRS straights and anywhere else where you can really overtake. So it's going to be a case of who can use their DRS to their advantage and who can stay out of trouble in the opening corners. Because from what I know in DLR, it can get a bit chaotic at that point. It will be very interesting to see how the drivers cope, especially if it does rain as well in the race.
As in chat, someone says, what a pole lap. Shouldn't a driver on lower on the grid have risked it on softs? I would agree. I think it was all about who was going to cross the line last. I think Nikki said it pretty correctly there, that whoever crossed the line last was going to get pole position. In the end, that's what happened. So I think, personally, I would have definitely risked it on softs, but I don't think we quite got to the cutoff early enough, or the crossover period early enough in the race to make, or in the session to make the gamble worthwhile. But anyway, next up, we should mention is the sprint here at Austria. First time myself commentating over a sprint weekend, as Harris apparently is the name. As thank you very much for joining us on this evening. But about 30 seconds till we get underway there. So it's a sprint race, 12 laps before the regular 36 of a Grand Prix here at Austria, 50% Grand Prix anyway. And well, I'll just ask you, Nikki, who do you think is going to win this one and take pole position for that all-important main race?
I'm putting my money on either Williams or the Aston Martins. No, I'm joking. I think it's going to be one of the two Red Bulls. I think those two have got I think they're a well-oiled machine. Either those two or SC, which is obviously a very boring pick because it's basically the three best cars on the grid. But I think that those three could have a great battle unless they make contact. SC, as we know, is a very aggressive driver. JBX, from what I remember he was also, I don't know which tier it is, but in one of the tiers he drives a Haas. He is very quick up at the top, but he seems to get involved in incidents as well. TNK himself tends to be quite clean, but you never know. We could see a three-way battle for the lead, and then they just blow each other up, and then we get a crazy podium or something. It will be very interesting, the dynamic, to see who does what and how. Let me just have a look at the tyres. I'm assuming everyone is on the mediums. I wouldn't assume anyone. Yep, everyone is on the mediums to this sprint. 12-lap sprint then. It's going to be quite a short one then. Only about 13 minutes. So only about 12, 13 minutes to get your overtakes done. So maybe we're going to see some antsy driving from people being impatient, thinking they've got to get everything done early. Could cause chaos. But then again, when you're a commentator, you want chaos. That's what you want. You want to see drivers blowing each other up as long as they're not killing each other.
Yes, and I'll keep an eye as well on the Ferrari starting on last on the grid, see what he can do in the next 12 laps. I'm surprised no one further behind in the field has opted for soft tyres and just try and nurse them to the end. Because if you can get the advantage out of them early on in the race, then theoretically, as you go into those later stages, it should be a little bit better for you, or you can sort of nurse it with the advantage gained from the early stages. However, I'll hand over to you, Nikki, for the race start of the sprint as everyone heads up to their grid slots.
Yeah. I like to go. Oh, it's JBX. I've just seen it gone right to the back of the field. Is he trying to get some tire temperature in by being a bit smart, a bit clever, trying not to let his tires fall off? That's pretty devious, I would say, from him. I wouldn't allow that if I was a steward. But that's not what we're on about. I'm going to go on board with either JBX or SCL for start because I like to go in TV pod because TV pod or what's called broadcast camera is crap for me. But we're all lined up. Are we all lined up yet? Fred the Red is in. CTFD is in. We're going to count down ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Austria. Are we going to get going? We are. It's go, 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 go. And does SC get a good start? No, but Joseph Alsaka's got an amazing start. He's up to second before he even gets into turn one. He's going to keep it going, though, as JVX goes wide on the exit there. and Joseph Elsack makes his way up into second place. Then there's a bit of carnage at the back. As I said, people haven't kept it clean. Eric Homo is down in 16th place, and there's a couple of other cars off. I don't think we're going to see any more battles up in the lead as LPM actually goes wide, and he goes and overtakes, Lazy Killer overtakes him up to P4 then for him. And there seems to be a car down. There's SC is down in 6th place. He's dropped quite a few positions as Jaguaran overtakes Twins in the Mercedes. He's got to try and make the positions up, especially on these slower cars. As he's in that Mercedes, his teammate up in 2nd place then. Twins loses out another position to a more competitive Williams for him. As we see Eric Homo finally making up a couple of positions, and he makes a position past on the Williams. As we come towards the middle part of this lap one then, people are still making moves as SC is round. SC has made a contact, and he's round. He's spun, and he's now down to 14th place. There's a penalty for, I don't know who that was. Was it Fitzpatrick? Or was it got a safety car?
And
it's a virtual safety car.
And he hasn't got a wing SC, so that's why it's the debris that's onto the circuit. He lost his front wing in that Ferrari, and now will have to go into the pits, although it's not the easiest pit entry here at Austria when you do have a wing. So this is going to be rather difficult for SC heading into the pits, and that's frustrating as technically speaking he's got 75% of a Grand Prix to try and make up for it. So that's at least a little bit of positive thinking for him. Now, I know it's not the done thing in a sprint, but, well, I suppose it's only the normal safety car. SC onto the soft tyres, that makes perfect sense, but now he's got to hope for a main safety car, a proper safety car, to get himself back up to this field. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day at the office for him. And even more consequentially, towards the end,
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, a drive-through penalty for Giuseppe. He is in the Mercedes. That's disappointment for him as well, as this was probably his only real chance of the season to get onto a podium in that Mercedes car, with the Red Bulls breathing down his neck. So that will be frustrating. But I think the other point as we go back to green running here is that now SC is going to have a very long evening ahead of him, and a huge moment in the Constructors' Championship as Red Bull try and extend whatever lead they can get hold of here, as JB trying to attack the Mercedes of Giuseppe. He's got all the top speed in the world. This is just the superiority of that Red Bull down into turn 1. No DRS, no ERS, and he's trying to squeeze himself through, but that is a staunch defence and a wonderful defence as DRS is enabled on this lap.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Can he get through? Coming up to the hairpin here. JBX trying to go around the contact between the two drivers, and he goes wide. Oh, loses the back end there. And Joseph Elsack keeps the position. He's got a drive-through, but he does not care. He is defending that position as if it was his firstborn child, as Lazy Killer is trying to overtake JBX, but he's going to back out. I assume that's team orders there. As Shell's Kitchen overtakes CTFD. CTFD trying to make his way back to the pack. It's a disaster class for the two Ferraris, as we've been akin to seeing in real life. What's it called? They've not even scored any points at the moment because, of course, sprint points only go down to the top 8. It's going to be interesting to see how the Ferrari guys recover, especially CTFD's. SC, I don't think he's not going to recover from that position unless there is a there's a spinner. There's a spinner is Jaguaran. Jaguaran spins. Get back towards the try. There's moving at the top. Giuseppe Elsack is in the pits. He's coming in to serve that drive-through penalty that he got for speeding under the SC because he's a melon and he doesn't know what speeding is. I mean, he is French. But he's going to go down out of the points positions and back with his teammate. That's not going to be very good for him. As Hein and CTFD are battling side by side, and they're going to come towards the Alpine as well as we come down towards turn 2 again. Oh, I'm sorry, turn 3, I mean. As the Ferrari goes around the outside of the both of them, makes it up into 6th place. CTFD is storming through the field. And Felix Bacro is also close behind his teammate, LPM. That could be an interesting battle as we get further on into the race.
SC with the fastest lap of the race, and now CTF here is giving himself a real opportunity, getting the win in the main Grand Prix here as he's flying up the order. Now has the McLarens next to him with a superior car, superior machinery, and, well, superior pace at the moment out on circuit. This should be something that he's able to chip away at through the course of this race, and I think here if he can get himself into 4th position and that podium and maybe even the race win heading into that main Grand Prix is ahead of him. Now, are the McLarens going to try anything funny, or are they going to be content with formation flying in this race? Lazy Killer is going to perhaps try and attack JB. Now, I'm not a fan of team orders between two different teams. The sister team and of course the main team, but it looks like something they may employ. He hasn't really got a great deal of ERS anyway in that AlphaTauri. Here's a switch at McLaren. I'm almost certain that was a switch between the two drivers as Felix Bakero goes up into 4th position. He's got a 5-second time penalty, so the aim here is going to be for him to now chase after the cars ahead and see if he can get within 5 seconds. We have got a stopper out on circuit, and dare I say it is one of the Alfa Romeos. It's Fred the Red 03 who has spun around in that number 13 car, and with SC getting a 3-second time penalty for to add insult to his many injuries in this race. Fred the Red concedes that position and goes down into 15th position.
Yeah, it's really interesting seeing the dynamic between all these drivers. The two Red Bulls in formation out in front, and they've got their AlphaTauri just behind. I mean, it's kind of Noah's Ark in a way, because you'll often find the two team drivers in quick formation, but then you've also got teams that don't have that. So I don't know what I'm talking about, to be fair. But we're going to see if there is any battles going out on circuit. There's an LPM who's trying to get back, he's looking behind Felix Bakero. But, yeah, I mean, Felix Bakero, he is quite a stout defence driver. Contact! I thought, is that lag or is that just contact? I thought that was contact for a second there, but I think he's just lagging. Of course, Felix Bakero, known to be quite an aggressive driver, he's probably going to say to his own teammate, what is it in Spanish? Tú no adelantarás. No, mate, adelantarás, I don't know. You will not overtake me, but he has overtaken him. He's managed to overtake him in towards the turn 4 corner. As we get close, yellow flags in sector 3 then. I think that's one of Fred the Red. He's proper fumbled the bag here, of course, in that Alfa Romeo. Not a good car anyway, but he should have been maybe not spinning. As we see Red Bulls actually lapping him. That's a bit embarrassing for him. And he retires in the pits.
Yes, I don't think he's fumbled it as much as he's taken a knife and split it in half and got all of his pennies out on the floor. But not a great performance from him. Yeah. But obviously he's got that second race to try and make up for it there. I would say there are no points for qualifying, but I suppose there technically are in this context, which is for better or for worse, I suppose. Here's a battle, actually. Hein versus that Aston Martin. This Williams is an absolute boat in a straight line, a sailboat at that. It isn't very fast at all, but with a DRS and perhaps a little bit of ERS, he might be able to make a George Russell move down the inside. We saw this in our little highlights actually before this stream, and they're not quite able to repeat history here in the Formula 1 game, but maybe on the second opportunity down into Alex Albon's favourite corner of the day, and in fact almost 3 wide with Ricciardo behind. The Williams is able to sneak through, the Alfa Romeo is able to sneak through on the Aston Martin. Perhaps he's on the outside. What can this Aston do? On the inside, he's going to try and rub wheels and hold this out. He can't quite do so. He's very lucky to survive without any wheel-to-wheel contact. But Hein gets into 9th position, Ricciardo into 10th, and then it's the Aston Martin in 11th. Another 3-second time penalty in the meantime for Jaragan GT. Not the greatest day for him after that issue with his teammates a little bit earlier on. Both of those Mercedes not having a great day. It does look like we have got another one of the Williams out on track and actually stopping and slowing down. I think that's Luke Paul who's DNF'd. Yeah,
I think he DNF'd in the pits, and his AI decided to drive out laps like an absolute plonker. And I've just seen Ricciardo and Twins, I think, are battling for why are they slowing down? Oh my God, Twins has just slowed down completely. He's done a Verstappen Jeddah, except this wasn't intentional. Jokes, lol. As we come through turn 3 now. As we see, who other battles are going on? I can't really see anything that's going on. But yeah, Jaguarin could be trying to overtake possibly in towards turn 4. It'd be very optimistic to go for it. But then again, it is a Mercedes trying to overtake another car in towards turn 4. And we've seen worse things happen, haven't we? So let's have a look and see what's going on. Is there any other battles? How come it seems that whenever I get the microphone, nothing's happening on circuit? This isn't fair. What is going on? Mercedes then are out of the points. Lap 9 already here. I told you it was going to be a short race. Jesus Christ, we're already 3/4 of the way through it. The two Red Bulls still out in front, and the AlphaTauri is still close behind. So the Red Bull powertrain cars are doing what's called the what saying can I say here? The smash and dash? No, because they haven't done anything like that. But anyway, I'll leave it over to you because I can't see anything happening at this point.
Well, I'm afraid to say we have got a 3-1. The Aston Martin onto the grass with the Mercedes. Down the inside he goes. That's a
Oh
huge
my
move.
God.
And I think he just had to back out of that. That was actually, despite what it looks like, very, very smart driving. He knew he was going to career straight into the back of that Mercedes. So he's just floored the throttle to get out of harm's way. That is superb from the Aston Martin. He's very lucky, but the Mercedes are having a bit of a duel here around the outside when Jaragan Sapel is trying to get his way through, and there goes into the 50-metre board as well. Jaragan, who is lagging around and desinking for England at the moment, as
I was
he
just
gets
about to
through
say, is
on
it just me or is he
Sapel.
lagging all about the gap?
Yes, it's clearly his second favourite hobby, but into the advertising hoarding and, well, or not the advertising hoarding, the brake marker board, and, well, needs really now for his teammate to sit back and let him attack this Alfa Romeo. Change of position from the McLarens. Down the inside goes Felix on this occasion, and
Lazy Killer's gone wide.
yes, I thought they would just sort of let this slide, the McLarens, and just stay together, but at the moment they're battling, and crucially, they're not losing too much time to CTF behind in the Ferrari.
Yeah, this is really interesting dynamics again. The two McLaren teammates, Marvin trying to do a bit of leapfrog to get them closer to the AlphaTauri in front. And we're going to see, there's no more battles further down the field. Maybe we just stick on board with the McLaren boys because they are now actually, Fitness Backer is now within the DRS of Lazy Killer because Lazy Killer's got about 2% ERS because he's got the ERS management skills of someone who doesn't have any ERS management skills. Yellow flags in sector 2.
SC.
And SC is spun. That's adding misery to misery there. Really not showing what he's capable of. Maybe his aggressiveness has kind of got the better of him. He didn't get a good start, and he's just not had a good start since then. He lost his front wing early on, and it's just not happened for him. He could be getting lapped by his championship rivals, and maybe that could give a nice bruise to his ego. Or maybe he'll just come back and recover like a champ in the main race. We never know. It is F1 after all, and like the famous Murray Walker said, and the late Murray Walker said, F1 backwards is if, and anything can happen in Formula One, and it usually does. And those remarks could ring true. We could look back at this commentary after the race and see SC has won from 14th place. It really is a case of a lottery in terms of races can be sometimes, especially if we get a downpour, which I hope for. Please, Codemasters gods, allow that to happen. The two Mercedes then still trying to get past the Alfa Romeo of Ricciardo as we start the final lap of the race. It's been a quick one. It's been a pretty. There's not really been much to. We've not had much chance to really talk about anything because it's just been so fast paced. But we'll see if there's anything that happens on this final lap.
As I think the main thing that we're having a look for is this McLaren trying to get through on Lazy Killer, and the AlphaTauri is doing a very good job at holding on to this podium at the moment. Around the outside goes Felix Baker. Oh, that was never going to work, and he just about is unable to pull it off. Strong defence from the AlphaTauri at the moment, and I think it might just be a little bit too little too late, and this battle is going to rage on into the main Grand Prix. Around the outside he goes, don't need to defend there, and he's been spun round by his teammate. That is the number one rule, and the number one thing you do not want to do is the Ferrari sails on through as well. He's going to find himself under pressure from the Alpine, no doubt, and that is disappointment for McLaren, who will lose a position heading in to the main race here from Austria. But at the end of the day, it's TNK who's going to pick up the points that he needs to take this into the main race. Pole position for TNK in the sprint race. Lazy Killer's going to fly through for third position, a very good third position. And then a McLaren driver who won't be wanting to speak to his team principal anytime soon is going to cross into fourth position, with Felix in seventh in the end when penalties are applied. CTF, by the way, lost out on sixth and eighth. Yes, you're right. More penalties.
That's really interesting. I don't think those McLaren boys are going to like each other. I think we're going to see some drama, like when you probably won't remember, but remember when Lewis Hamilton said that Jenson Button had unfollowed him on Twitter in like 2012. It turns out he hadn't unfollowed him on Twitter. He never unfollowed him in the first place. I don't think we're going to see that with these boys because I think they're a bit more mature than that. But that could be some chaos in terms of team. So very much multi-21 said kind of stuff from the McLaren boys. Can't believe they fumbled the bag that hard though. The Steelers will probably have a look at those incidents 5 years. But it's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen going into the main race. it's also a case of, will we see people like SC make a charge through after they got taken out of contention early in the race, or will we see another boring Red Bull 1-2 or a boring Red Bull Powertrains 1-2-3?
Well,
Could be interesting, but maybe it won't be.
driver of the day is classed as CTF D9, and let's not make a mistake about that. It was a superb drive through the field, up into 6th position from last on the grid. That Ferrari, I know we're not waxing lyrical about it, because that was just how mature and incredible that drive was. He went all the way through the field. He did it in a matter of a few laps. It was a superb drive to get up to 6th position, and now I'm just nervous for the Red Bulls in terms of trying to stay ahead of him into this main race here. But I think the race start is going to be the main thing to keep an eye out for here. And I have to say, Nicky, I just want to ask you a question, actually, that I've been meaning to do. We're seeing this sprint race, and it's basically creating what is, in essence, a 75% race. Not quite, or a few laps short. Are you a fan of... I'm very much in the 75% action group. I think... Oh, it's raining! Oh, we'll get to that in a moment. But yes, do you think that 75% races should be used in... or should be a thing in the game and used in league racing?
I grew up in the era of F1 games where, like F1 2010, F1 2011, where you had every single percentage marker from 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, then it was 40, then 50, then 60, 70% races. I think the players should have a lot more leeway than they do now. 35% races were definitely, back in the day, the type of races where it was sometimes a one-stop, sometimes a two-stop. I think it's cool. I think we should definitely bring back more freedom for the player.
And you used to have those 10% race, I think it was, where it varied depending on track, whether you had a mandatory pit stop or not. That was interesting back in the day. So I used to love those games.
Yeah, that could be very interesting. They should definitely have a play around with the rules. I like playing around with point systems just to see how things would have turned out differently. I think that could be a very good option. For some reason, it's in broadcast as this formation lap for some reason for you. Oh no, never mind. It's just my game decided to just be a bit of a retard. Hold on. It is wet then, intermediate conditions. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers cope. Of course, in the wet, we had some very good drivers. Very similar actually to the condition we have here. As one of the McLarens has gone off his LPM.
Yeah, that's a
he's proper fumbled it.
And for the sake of YouTube listening onto this, we do apologise about any language that may slip into our commentaries during this stream. Not on purpose, we promise. Just a very exciting race, isn't it?
I mean, it is. It's going to be interesting as to see who can come out on top. I'm looking out the back for people like Hein. Looking at the back, that's a very funny joke, Owen. I'm looking at for people like Hein who are going to hopefully come through the field, because he did show his potential in the qualifying. I think he's definitely a dark horse possibly for this race. But if I was the Red Bull boys, I wouldn't worry about the Ferraris behind, the charging Ferraris behind, because they have a rear gunner in Lazy Killer, and I think he could play a very, very vital role in this race. But we'll see as we form up onto the grid.
Yes. Now the question is, who opted to run that wet setup? Who is going to be getting the jump onto dries as soon as possible, which we assume, looking at the conditions, is going to happen rather soon. Now, this is something you won't see in F1 any day of the week. A standing start in intermediate conditions, the FIA would not allow that, but, well, this is the game, and thankfully, we don't have such restrictions over here. Keep an eye out for that McLaren in 4th position, as well as JB, who might be getting a little bit friendly with his teammate down into turn 1. The Austrian Grand Prix then here at DLR, and we go to 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go in Austria, and it's a very tentative start from everyone. And Alpine in the back is going to cause a massive Constantine, and there goes through the Alfa Romeo, a huge move into turn 1. The Alpine is round, and it's JB who is able to lead away into turn 1. One of the McLarens had an issue as well. That's Felix. He goes down into 9th position as everyone else tries to snake through. There's going to be the Ferrari of CTF trying to get a move on the McLaren up into turn 3. He goes down the inside, a strong move, and gets ahead at the apex as well. Pushes him slightly completely off the circuit, but all is fair in love and war, clearly. Here goes Lazy Killer in the AlphaTauri. What a move to get through into third position, trying to consolidate now on the brakes. Does so nicely as there goes the McLaren around the outside as well on the Ferrari. The Mercedes is in the air. He's in the air almost on top of the Alpine, on the Williams, I should say. And now Giuseppelli's going on through as the Mercedes actually able to get away with it in the end. But, well, I think certainly that was one of the more interesting incidents I've seen in my time.
Yeah, he's oh my god, sorry, Eric Homo gets a bit shaky on the exit there. He's got a bit of a loose rear end as we come towards the end of the first lap then. The two Red Bulls out in front. I said they were going to have a rear gunner, and I thought halfway through the first lap that had been shot down because I saw Lazy Killer sideways through turn one. It's definitely an interesting dynamic. Hein was up there at first as well, but he got to take it now. I assume he got like some illegal overtakes because I saw him lifting off on the straight. Some people are in the pits. SC's up to 10th. He's actually managed to make up quite a few positions. The Ferraris might charge through more than I thought they would. This could be a very interesting dynamic as we proceed through this race. CTFD close behind Lazy Killer. Will we see some nice bus parking skills here? Some AlphaTauri bus simulator from Lazy Killer. I don't know. But Charles Kitchen makes his way past Ricciardo. Ricciardo goes wide. Ricciardo seems to be struggling in these conditions. He's doing worse than he did in the main race. Is Luke Paul, sorry, who's not making a move? Did I just see someone making a move? I did. It was Luke Paul past SC. Or they're battling. I think they're battling for that ninth position. Of course, Luke Paul in the inferior car, but he has the ability not to bottle it in the sprint race. So that's why he's ahead of SC. As SC tries to make a move in towards turn 6. No, surely not. I mean, he hasn't. CTFD still close behind Lazy Killer, but has a bit less ERS, and ERS is crucial around here. If you don't have enough ERS, you drown. And in wet conditions, you don't want to drown. But CTFD is using that ERS. He doesn't care about drowning. As we come towards turn 1 here, it's going to be interesting to see which drivers can overtake who, as SC is going over the inside of Luke Paul in towards turn 1. And you can see, yellow flags as Giuseppe Sack, after an abysmal first race, that's an even more abysmal second race. You didn't think that was possible as there's a full course caution.
Is it a full course caution? Because I can't see anything on my screen.
Car's on track.
Okay, well this is okay. Well, thank you for pointing that out because there's been an issue on my screen where we can't see that the safety car has been deployed. So once again, we thank Co-Masters for producing a wonderful product that is high quality and well worth the £60 English that I departed with in July this year. But anyway, I should stop.
The way you found out if it's a safety car or not is you just have to look at the pit lane, because if there's a safety car in the pit lane or on track, then it's a safety car. If not, then it's a virtual.
Well, I was confused because it's not even showing a yellow flag on my screen, so that was what confused me.
Oh, was it not? He said, for me,
I could see the car
sector 1, sector 2, sector 3 yellow flag. So
yeah, and then I even did the old thing where you check the board, you ride on board with someone and you check the safety car board, but even that is showing green flag running. So, well, I don't know with this game anymore. CTF has had an issue. He spun under safety car, and he's undone all of the hard work he did in the 12 laps of the sprint race, and now plunges to the back of the field, and that is beyond frustrating.
Do you want me to give you my opinion? I think Ericsson hit him. What happened there? I think he just bottled it. He's just fumbled the bag. See how he's done that. I mean, I understand that corner can be quite tricky.
Watch this. I apologise to cut you off there. Oh, no, he's not. He's put intermediates on. You see, I saw a race the other day in, I think it was Miami and Singapore. There was two similar races that I commentated on. And they both, people came in during the safety car. Bear in mind, it was still raining. And they put softs on, trying to guess that it would be dry by the time the safety car come in. And they ended up winning in the end. In fact, I think it was a race that I was commentating on Hayden Gullis racing in. And he came into the pits, put on soft tyres, and ended up winning the entire thing, I'm pretty sure.
I know Hayden Gullis, he's a quick bloke. Well, I don't know him personally, but he's a quick bloke. Anyway, we're going to move on to... This is a very interesting... We've got 4 blue cars leading the way, followed by McLaren, followed by 3 more blue cars, actually, as I say that. The 2 Williams in 7th and 8th, holding their own then. And it's an interesting dynamic to see who is gonna overtake at the safety car restart? Because I think some people are going to be too aggressive. Some people are going to be not aggressive enough and lose positions. I think a bit of argy-bargy could be needed on this restart if you want to make up some positions. I think as an SC or a could definitely make up a couple of positions here. Eric Homo's actually up in a really good position as well in the Mercedes. I think that could be very interesting to see how he makes up positions, of course. I think he's Norwegian. The Scandinavian drivers tend to be quite good in changeable conditions. People like Kimi Raikkonen, Mika Hakkinen were generally quite good on loose surfaces like gravel and ice. And of course, gravel and ice is the exact same as wet weather. Of course, it isn't, but you get my point.
Well, of course, the Scandinavians, they are basically driven. They grow up basically rallying. It's incredible, their culture. It's really actually quite admirable. You look at their roads, and their road infrastructure is essentially, not to be offensive to anyone's country, it's essentially terrible. I mean, our C roads are their A roads, and well, it means that they basically drive cars on the door handles all the way through. So they basically have the best car control of any country in the world, and that's why every single dirt rally leaderboard is just full of Finnish people, because they are incredible rally drivers. They have got brilliant car control as a country.
Yeah, it's interesting. Safety car in this lap then. Let's see. Is the leader going to decide to do what I like to do on the restart, where I just make everyone crawl about 30 miles an hour so no one gets tire temperature, because I've got that good car control. I can deal with a bit of a loose rear end, a bit of experience with loose rear ends as we come. Oh, is he gonna go early? Because some people do like to go early. Some people do like to just, I'm going to go to the second to last corner and catch everyone else out. Yeah, I think he's gone. He's gone now. I assume the teammates will have kind of collaborated or cooperated, if you get what I mean. Lazy Killer's actually attacking TNK. I don't think that's what he planned to do. But he is into turn one. I'm not sure if he's going to back out. No, he doesn't. The AlphaTauri up into second place then. But he's backing out on the exit. What a cabbage head. As we see, LPM losing positions. But Williams at the sixth and seventh as Jaggerin overtakes Eric Homer. Oh, he's trying to overtake Eric Homer, but he's got about 5 million ping, so we don't really know if he has or hasn't overtaken him. As Lazy Killer is back past TNK, TNK looks to be furious because I assume he would be expecting his colleague to assist him there.
Oh my word! Oh my word! The Mercedes! Happening. Oh dearie me! I apologise. He's just gone inside of that Alpine, and I have to say that I believe belongs on a very different website to this one. That was incredible. You're having to estimate where that Mercedes is when you're racing him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, of course, with the name Eric Homer, I can assume he'll be more akin to that kind of rear-end action. But we can see, possibly, as you can see, I don't know what the local McDonald's or the supermarket down the road, the corner shop, maybe. But he's still trying to defend. And, I mean, it's a very good defensive strategy, because if they don't know where your car is, then how can they try and plan an attack? That's a very clever option. Of course, it's bad for everyone else, as Fred de Red is also blown up. How is Felix Bakker like a million years off of everyone else? There's another safety car out on track. A second full course caution here in Austria. Yellow flags out, and full course caution, safety car. Will Felix Bakker catch up to the pack? We hope so, because he is a very interesting driver.
Yes, well... I still can't quite get over that line about the... anyway, I think the viewers may have heard some form of noise that came out my mouth as a smirk, but anyway, that's the difference. Oh dear, oh there we go. Sorry, we lagged out the call for a second, but back I can hear you, as long as, assuming you can hear me, Nikki. So Nicky's having a couple of issues with his mic, I think, so we'll give him a moment to jump back in. I think I can hear you, but I can't hear you talking, Nicky.
Oh, my headphones aren't working anymore, shit.
There you go, I think I can hear you. I think we've got you back. Okay, we'll give him a moment to get sorted and just sort of assess where we are in this race. Feel free to just jump in at any opportunity, Nicky, once your mic is all sorted out. So we just forming up to the safety car. It's JB who leads the way. So there we go, Nicky. Welcome back.
Yeah, my iPod decided it was going to die in the middle of a stream without telling me. decided to pull a center on me there. But
Oh my word.
anyway, yeah, Apple products like to do that. They like to do something and not tell you they've done something, and then you sat there. I was like, I can see you talking, but I can't hear anything coming out. That was because my headphone was disconnected. That was a very awkward moment because I think you heard me having my fumbling issues, and I didn't want to interrupt the streamers. There are penalties for people crashing under safety car. Eric Homo and TNK deciding to get close with each other. Wow. So it is still a Red Bull powertrain 1-2-3, followed by Mercedes, followed by Eric Homo, followed by LPM, followed by the three red cars, the Ferraris and the Alfa Romeo. Aston Martin of twins still catching up to the pack along with Hine. What happened to Hine? And what happened to Luke Paul?
Not ideal races from them. I think it is fair to say. But let's assess where we are on lap 8 of 36 in this race. 36, actually, for those, well, no one cares, but I'm going to tell them anyway. 36 is my lucky number. I did race under that number back in the day, but haven't for a couple of years. Didn't bring me great luck, it has to be said. But anyway, I only got a single sim racing win out of 3 years of doing it, and only 3 podiums if you're not counting the win. It's not a great career.
I mean, John O'Lacey, what was it? He had 13, 12 seasons in F1. He had 1 win, and he was like one of the most loved drivers of all time. I suppose you don't need to be good at driving to actually be popular. Just look at Nicholas Latifi, or Mahavir Raghunathan, or Chel's Kitchen, it seems, because he's in last place. Haha. Anyway, that was just really unnecessary, I know, but I'm just an unnecessary person. So, yeah, my lucky number in sim racing, I've now gone on to your no one cares point, but no one cares about this, but I race as number 13 because
So
I like to race as my idol, Pastor Maldonado.
Oh, that's an incredible coincidence. So when I did a karting championship a couple of years ago, they assigned me number 13. So I've been racing that ever since, just as a little bit of continuity. I mean, the joke of it was that because it was a rental karting thing, I never actually got number 13. But on the official records, I was classed as number 13. So ever since I continued to race that. But a safety car in this lap.
Yeah. So let's stop talking waffling about numbers and about the greatest driver of all time, past Maldonado. Let's instead see what is JMX going to do this time. Of course, the different dynamics on this restart because, well, you've got a restart. Because do you want to do some psychological mind trick? Do you want to do the exact same you did last time? Do you want to go a little bit early? Do you want to go a little bit later? Do you want to hold everyone up until the line and be a massive cheesehead and decide, oh no, I'm just going to make everyone's tyres cold and make everyone spin off into turn 1, which, although it's funny for us, it's probably not funny for the 10 drivers that would actually get affected by it. Let's see what he does. Please go at some point, and I think he's gone. He has gone on this restart. JBX then on the last corner. I think he's had a shaky getaway though. Could we see an AlphaTauri taking the lead into turn 1? Could we have a Gasly 2020? Could we have a Vettel from 2008? He goes up the inside into turn 1 then, and he's still there. You've got to leave him some room, lad, and he doesn't really, but there was no contact between the two drivers. And Jagarin is coming through on the Red Bull possibly. He's got the connection of something that has bad connection as he goes up the inside in towards turn 3, hairpin corner, and he's made his move. The other guys have to just back out or turn in and hope that he's not there when they're racing against him. As Hine loses a position, but he's still trying to fight back in towards the turn 4 corner. Moves back up into 10th place. That's a point for Williams. That could be crucial. But the Aston Martin back up the inside. Round the inside. Chuck Buck. As we go round here, let's see what other cars have we got. We've got TNK, who's close behind the Mercedes as he goes for a move into turn 6, and there's contact between the two drivers. That's where Hamilton went off in qualifying, but that's where the Red Bull will get past the Mercedes in this race here. And just remember, if you are a SkyQ or a Sky Glass customer, you can press your red button to view the race highlights alongside the live race action.
Another slight tangent as the Alpine is trying to get past. I'll get to that in a moment because the Alpine of Eric Home is trying to get past LPM and he can't quite do so. Or LPM, I think we'll go with. But yes, he can't quite get through. He's going to have to try again. CTF is up into 7th position. How does this man do it? His teammate SC trying to get through on Ricciardo in the Alfa Romeo at the same time. He's going to use ERS and go down the inside and surely go into a formation flying situation with his teammate. Locks up all 4 tyres but gets the car stopped and, more impressively, gets the move done, I dare say. As, oh no, there's an Alpine round and that promotes CTF into 6th. Ricciardo just about gets the better traction. He goes into 7th, but now under the brakes goes the Ferrari. He's got the better straight line speed. Can the Alfa Romeo brave it around the outside? It looks like he can. It's incredible. He just has got all the grip in the world and he's going to continue and go down the inside this time and get the move on the Ferrari. That is absolutely unbelievable defensive driving. I think that is quite incredible.
Yeah, I mean, SC, of course. I've been absolutely humbled by Ricciardo. I've not seen really an ounce of performance from Ricciardo in the races I've seen, but it seems he's coming alive in these wet conditions here in Austria for Alfa Romeo. He's doing a nice hold-up job of his, what's it called, power unit supplier. And I assume they're going to be absolutely fuming, but does he care? Probably not, because his name's Ricciardo, and he doesn't have a seat in real life, but he's been overtaken, actually. Now, I was going to say something really cocky then, but he's been overtaken, but he's going to try and get the move back. Don't think it's going to happen for him, unless he absolutely punches the ERS up in towards turn 3, underneath BWT advertising hoardings. As we come in towards the braking zone, there's not really a move happening there. He's still in 8th place, though, which is about as mediocre as I'd expect from him. But we're going to see who else is close. TNK is close behind Lazy Killer, and he's not. Lazy Killer is losing time to JBX, and of course, a third of the way from this race now. Will we have some team orders? Because I assume TNK will be like, I can go faster, even if he can't, because that's generally what racing drivers do. They waffle and lie. They're like politicians. Will we see some movement? As I can see, they are getting closer and closer as I say that. There is some interesting battles we could have, and yes, he does give up the position in towards red corner as I die slowly. And we see what else is going on. There's not really any battle supporting positions just yet. As we see, actually, just to say that Ricciardo decides to go to Germany on the exit of that corner there. Really interesting to see what's happening. And Shell's Kitchen loses the place to Felix Baccarel.
Yes, summarised beautifully. I'm not a fan of team orders between sister teams. It just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. You know, I've raced in teams in other championships where you've got a sister team, and I was doing a Formula E championship recently over on R Factor 2, and we had a sister team, and they actually brought in a rule that said sister teams aren't allowed team orders. I'm all for a little bit of giving extra space than you would be, you know, and not going for aggressive moves on your sister team, but I think actual team orders like what I hazard to guess we've just seen there from Lazy Killer letting through TN, it just leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I'm not a big fan. As actually CTF, by the way, is in 5th position. He's now trying to attack Jaragan and surely is going to have an opportunity. Trying to slide his way through, won't be able to do so just yet. Gets a superb exit though, and there's a little bit of contact actually as the speed is just a little bit unpredictable from this Ferrari. And well, to be fair, that Mercedes is very unpredictable with the various desync issues that he's experiencing at the moment. The Ferrari just trying to stay behind the best he can and wait for that move. There's a bit of a mistake on the exit of the corner from the Mercedes, and now CTF is going to try his best onto the grass. He's doing a George Russell, is Charagon, and now the Ferrari's going to have a chance. It would have to be a huge dive, and he's going to think against it. However, now braking has got to be so difficult for him as that Mercedes is just lagging all over the place. He doesn't know where he is, and that is going to be frustrating.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing to see because, of course, I honestly, I used to be on terrible connection, and I was a little bit worse than that in terms of connection. But it's annoying because from your own perspective, often you don't see that you're lagging, and you won't even see that other people are lagging. It's a very weird thing. You'll maybe have a bit, like, you might accidentally get kicked out of the session, but generally it's very hard to tell if you're lagging yourself. And I think he might not know that he's lagging to the other drivers. He might just be driving as if he would normally, and he's thinking he's a god of racing because no one's getting past him, when in fact it's just because no one wants to try and get past him because he might get blown up. It is a very weird dynamic. CTF then up into 4th. He actually has managed to get past, I would say a mobile chicane, but by the time you call it a chicane, it's already turned into a hairpin by the amount that's lagging. So Jagger in there, going to the outside, in towards turn 3. I personally go on board with CTFU and just watch him from behind because you don't want to go on board with him because you might get motion sickness. As we come in towards here, as Jaguar decides he's going to make an entirely new racetrack there on the exit to that corner, going through Aramco corner as he goes in towards the blue painting. Yeah. Yeah, he just decided, they just add a fucking 50 meter onto the exit of that corner there. As we see, hold on. Is CTFD going to try and get through towards turn 5? Surely not. He's got 14% ERS. That's a bit. He's on the limit in terms of ERS. I'd personally save some up if I was him. But of course,
this is close. This is really close. He goes back down the inside, but that Mercedes is still just a little bit. He's struggling a lot actually with this lag, and obviously he's not struggling, and he does get through in the end CTF, but I'm not really sure with the ghosting Mercedes how true it is that he's through. That Mercedes struggling though. You know, I was in an iRacing race the other day, and well, I was in second position, and little did I know, because it was about 2 in the morning. Don't ask questions. In fact, it might have been 4 in the morning. Is SC trying to get through on Jarrigan as well, and well, he can't quite do so into turn 1. I ended up accidentally bumping and passing the leader of the race, and ended up winning the race. But on my screen, there was absolutely no contact until a little bit later on. All I can hear is someone saying, "Tom, you were lagging like mad in that race." And so you're right in saying that sometimes you don't even know. But here's an interesting dynamic. CTF in 4th position. Jarrigan in 5th. SC in 6th. He's being pressured by LPM, who had that pretty terrible start. Has managed to work his way back up the order into 7th position. And now he's going to try and attack this Ferrari. With that Mercedes not really offering too much opportunity for these guys, I think it's going to be a pretty standard move for him. And I think he's got a really good chance here.
Yeah, it's a really weird. It's really weird. I don't know. I've kind of lost track where I was now. Who are we on board?
Oh no! As LPM's into the wall, and that is the most classical commentator's curse. Dare I say it? He's into the wall, and the safety car's out.
Interesting. People could pit and put, because of course you can go 0 stops in a wet race, but it often is advised to do a pit stop because for some reason in this game, intermediates don't last very long, which is a bit strange, I won't lie. As you can see, people are coming to this as Chels gets a driver penalty for speeding under safety car because he's an absolute potato head. It's a very interesting dynamic. And I think, again, we're going to have the front three at the front here, Red Bull and AlphaTauri. Again, that could be spicy with the team dynamics. I mean, personally, I'm all for team orders. I think team orders, if you can use them to your advantage, are phenomenal things to have in your back pocket. Because I used to be I still am a very successful team principal in other leagues, where we've had other team affiliations before, and it is great to just be able to kind of it's mutually beneficial because you don't hold up the other driver and you don't hold up your own race trying to battle with someone who's quicker than you. It's phenomenal, in my opinion. Yes, it's boring for the fans, but the thing is, fans get bored easily, and fans are also very annoying because most of the time fans are wrong. Just personally, in my opinion, like a classic example. Do you remember when the Halo got brought into F1 and they're like, everyone's like, it's ugly, get rid of it, it's ugly, don't put it in there, it's closed cockpit. And then, what was it called? Leclerc nearly had his head took off by Alonso, and everyone was like, actually, maybe they were right.
Yeah, to be fair though, I think everyone sort of had their, because of how many years of racing it had been, people are pretty resistant to change, and I think with the Halo particularly, it was one of those things that just had to be trialled and then sort of proved its own merit. But I can't blame anyone. I don't think I was particularly chuffed about the existence of the Halo before, but now they've been integrated into the cars, it doesn't look too bad, and actually I think it's a pretty nice addition, particularly with the safety. However, I will stand by this and take it to my grave, the fact that the IndyCar aero screen is an absolute disgusting piece of kit, no matter what safety it provides.
I mean, I don't see why they don't put the screens on the F1, because like the Halo will protect against big objects, but let's say you had a Massa 2009 situation where a spring or something small flies into like, the driver's cockpit. A spring's not going to be stopped by a Halo unless it actually hits the Halo. Well, that's why I think the aero screen is put in.
The thing here is that the helmet nowadays is so it's so strong. It's actually bulletproof. You could shoot theoretically one of these Formula One helmets with a bullet and it wouldn't get through. So I think they look at it in the sense that the risk of a projectile actually piercing the helmet at any speed to actually hurt someone is so slim that it's just worth the risk. And I mean, at the end of the day, you can't mitigate all risk in a Formula 1 car, because at the end of the day, you're lugging a machine around at 200 mile an hour. So I think there has to be a point where you do have to accept risk if it means not closing up the cockpit.
Oh, Eric Homer's out. Eric Homer's out. I don't know what's happened to him there.
He stopped out of track. I think he spun under safety car, you know.
Yeah.
Tyre temperature is a huge, huge thing.
That is a
here.
very slow corner. I don't know how. He must have just spun on exit, trying to catch up.
Exactly. This is what I mean about tyre temperature. It's so difficult to keep it under safety car. These new rims are particularly difficult as well. It's such a, especially when you've got a wet track and you're just trying desperately to get any temperature you can. I think actually one thing we do need to point out here is that TN is on 18 lap old intermediate tyres. He is now committed to a no stopper. Safety car should theoretically be in on the next lap. We've got a runner in the pit lane, that's Chel's Kitchen, onto new intermediate tyres, but everyone else in this field has stopped other than TN, if you'll excuse me having some sort of throat issue here. But yes, he is going to have to try and brave this out on old tyres, and dare I say it, he could become a sitting duck here. But, of course, if we do get on to dry conditions, he's had to make one pit stop less than everyone else, so maybe this could be a very, very good gamble.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't rule out him pitting again for intermediate tyres, because at the end of the day, even a no stop I don't think would work. I truly think I don't think he's going to get to the end on those tyres. I think already those tyres will be about 40% wear. I don't know for certain, but I don't think those tyres will last much longer. I think maybe lap 26, maybe up through to lap 30, with the region where he might have to pit, but he will still have to pit. And I think, unless he is hanging out for dry conditions, which is a very risky thing to take because it's not even stopped raining yet, I think he might have made a mistake here. As Jagger and CTFT, I don't know what they're doing in the safety car. Jagger's probably still on his McDonald's Wi-Fi. Or on what nationality is he? Croatian, isn't he? So however good Croatian McDonald's Wi-Fi is, it's probably on that. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he drives. Of course, you can see a bit of blue sky, so there is opportunity for us to go to dry conditions. But it could be a case of Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why we have to wait for dry conditions so long, as Jagger's having a bit more fun time. As I've just seen, hold on. The Aston Martin is in 4th place. How has he done that?
Yeah, I know. Jarragon has just had an issue where either he lagged back into that 5th position. But yeah, the Aston Martin, sole Aston Martin runner in this race actually managed to... I'm not going to say fluke because... Oh no, he hasn't pit yet. Oh no, he has pit, but he hasn't pit on this cycle. So that explains that. He doesn't have to pit again is my point. So that's how he's managed to get his way up the field. But can I just say, safety car's in this lap. That was an incredible line.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just a fucking heart attack because, oh my god, twins and he's lagging and stuff. And he's blown up Laser Killer nearly. And Jagger, because when they half penetrate the rear end where they... where you know what we saw with Eric Como earlier on in Jagger, where they basically lift the car up because of desync issues and then they spawn inside each other kind of thing. That's what I just saw is happening. And Twins is up into 3rd. Hold on. He's trying to take back the position. Meanwhile, the 2 Red Bulls, if they'd have gone then, the rest of the field would have been screwed.
Yes, but keeping it smart. And when does he choose to go TN? He's a new race leader and he is going to go, and at this opportunity he stays in the lead of the race off the start. Lazy Killer gets back up into 3rd position, so he's been let back through. CTF now is going to try and make a move on the Mercedes. He won't be able to do so into turn 1. He's going to have to wait for this opportunity to come to him as they're bump drafting down the straight, but that Mercedes just with the better second phase of the exit, and now actually has to think about attacking this Aston Martin. He can't go for that dive bomb. Surely he is going to go for it, and they make contact, and the Aston Martin goes wide. Now the Ferrari, like Moses, is parting the seas, but can't quite get through.
I mean, it's not 2 Ferraris on the outside; it's 1 Ferrari on the inside. So he's not part of the Red Sea. He is the Red Sea as he comes through the turn 4 corner. Everyone's lagging inside of each other because it seems everyone has picked up Jagger's Croatian Wi-Fi bug. Call it Croatian Wi-Fi virus. That's the worst joke I've ever heard in my life, so I'm never going to repeat it again. As we come through sector 2, I've just seen he's got a purple helmet,
again.
And yet more desync issues. It seems Jaguar really needs to improve. If I was the league owner or whoever's got the power to say so, I'd tell him to get his Wi-Fi sorted or he's not racing again, because this is off-putting, if anything. Off-putting at least, and dangerous at worst for all the other competitors as he moves past LazyCo and CTFD up into third. Then, oh, hold on, LazyCo is back up into third because he's also got the sketchy Wi-Fi. It's about as sketchy as an artist's impression.
Yes, I have to say, I'm glad you brought up that point, because I was going to make the exact same point, in that I think it gets to a point where you've got to say, look, we don't want to kick you out of racing in the league. However, you know, you've just got to face the reality as SC goes through into sixth position. Not the most convincing move of his life, but he's able to make the move as the Alfa Romeo now swallows up that Aston Martin. But yes, I think there's got to be a point where you say, look, we're going to have a difficult conversation and say that it is starting to be a little bit difficult for these competitors, and it's starting to cause actually an effect on the race. So we don't want to kick you out from racing. You're a very good driver, clearly. However, you know, there's got to be something to do here, basically, and sort out your Wi-Fi if at all you can. It's just one of those harsh realities, I'm afraid.
I would also like to point out the sun is shining a lot more in this last lap than I think it has in the entire race so far.
SC down the inside.
I think we could be seeing some dry conditions towards the end of this race. The blue skies are coming out. You can see it's a lot lighter on this track. It's still raining, but I think it's going to clear up in the next couple of laps. I think we could see a last 5 lap or so dash towards the end on soft tyres, which would be spicy. They're basically like a sprint that isn't. It'd be a sprint that would actually be classed as a race, because they don't like to do that because they're cabbages. As we see Jaguar and SC battling. Again, it's his problems. He generally hasn't even had bad Wi-Fi. It must just be he's decided to, what's it called? People are watching sketchy videos on the internet on his Wi-Fi, and they're just clogging up the Wi-Fi kind of thing. A case of, hey, I went on the internet and I found this, for anyone who watches Top Gear. Maybe they're just hosting loads of that, or I don't know what's going on. I probably shouldn't question his Wi-Fi decisions. Probably can't control it. It's kind of like his car, because his AI seems to be going wide about 5 million times a year. Because when he desyncs the course, the AI decides to take over. It's complicated. Felix Baccaro passes Twins. Yellow flags in sector 2. As I just saw, Chel's Kitchen reset the track, you cabbage. You can't do that, lad. Caught in 4K.
Yes, and oh no, the McLaren is almost round. What a save from Felix Baccaro. It's not going to really make a difference because he's going to lose a position anyway. And now Hein is going to go up into 8th position in that Williams. He goes down the inside and gets the move into turn 1 on the Aston Martin. But for how long? Is now back at him goes the Aston Martin of Twins, and he can't quite get through. So it is the Williams into 8th position. A good move from him. And now Felix Baccaro looks for a little bit of revenge around the outside. He's going to go straight into the Williams if he's not careful. That's exactly what he does. And now it's all absolute carnage. The Aston Martin sends a kamikaze move as well. He's lucky to hold on to his front wing, and the McLaren into 9th position. So actually, Hein is quite lucky from all of that. As not only is his car still in one piece, maybe a little bit of side pod damage. There goes the Aston Martin once more, and oh my word, he's playing bumper cars.
Yeah, this is a very interesting battle. Three-way battle between 2 slow cars and a fast car in the sandwich. It's kind of like a slow car sandwich. It's like if you put Nikita Mazepin, Nicholas Latifi with Juan Manuel Fangio in the middle. It'd be a very interesting sandwich. But Felix Baccaro needs to clear these slow cars if he wants any chance at any big points in this race. Of course, he's really... I'm not sure where he is in the championship standings, but as I can just see, everyone is improving fastest laps, by the way. If everyone's setting fastest laps, that tends to be an indication that the track is drying at a rapid rate of knots. And, of course, we have 11 laps to go. 11 laps to go means that I assume we're going to dry it by the end. There's a clear dry line forming, and I'll be waiting to see when the rain stops, because it will stop, I think, in this race. If it doesn't stop, I'll eat my own hair, to be honest. But as we see, are the Red Bulls having a go at each other because they're close together? No, they're not. I'm just kind of looking for battles to kind of waffle on about. As we see Hein behind sorry, behind ahead of Felix Baccarel, coming into sector for 2. I don't see how Felix Baccarel isn't overtaking him unless he's got some sort of damage. He doesn't. I can see on the side on his car as I look on the outboard view as Jago gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Amateur. No one's really got any time penalties, which I'm shocked at, to be honest. I'd have thought that some people would have decided they were just going to turn into a bit mongs midway through the race and get those track limit warnings. But only 3 drivers have got penalties, which is interesting. As Twins overtakes Felix Baccarel because he's in the pits. He's gone into the pits, and I think he might be trying to go for soft tyres. Couldn't we see the first person going onto softs?
It's a smart move, but is it a little bit too early? He's got to take the risk. He's in 10th position. It could turn out to be a race win. In fact, this is a very smart move as he goes on to the intermediate. So no, he isn't going to quite take the gamble. He had to change his front wing, so that gives reason to that.
Boring.
Yes, boring. But I learned once why you don't go onto a preemptive jump to tyres, as it can be very damaging to your race. And at this stage, when the rain is still coming down, albeit the track is a little bit drier, then well, it's it's just a difficult situation to be in. So well, this is the way we run it. So Jarrigan is still holding on to 6th position. I want to keep an eye on the Ferraris, keep an eye on the time penalties as well. 3 seconds for CTF, 6 seconds for Jarrigan, 6 seconds as well for Twins. The 2 Red Bulls at the head of the field are still running line of stern as we go to 10 laps to go at the line. I would love to see these two have a bit of a battle, it has to be said, because they are, of course, first and second in the championship. Let me just quickly pull up the championship standings on my screen so I can try and here we go. I've got them up as quickly. It took me less time to find than I thought. So they're just loading on my phone. My internet not great when I've got a bit of Jarrigan internet when I have streaming software set up. But it is JB in the lead of this championship. By 25 points. So TN here is going to take 8 points out of that, plus whatever points were gained in the sprint race. I'll let someone figure that out a little bit later on. Maths, not my strong suit. Scraped through my GCSE maths, I say. But yes, JB now is probably actually in good standing to stay behind here and not lose too much ground in the championship. However, I would love to see Red Bull let them race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think. I want to see this get to drier conditions. I want to see someone gamble on tyres. TNK is begging for this track to get dry on those mouldy old tyres. He's going to get a China 2007 situation here if he's not careful. Of course, not to the extreme because these tyres don't go to slick, because the game is about as realistic as Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton not cheating. There we go. That's just enraging the fans. As we come through turn 1. He's actually keeping himself well equipped in these conditions. I thought he'd be sliding all over the place with those 27-lap-old tyres. They're about as old as World War II at this point in the race. He's 3/10 off his personal best through the first sector, and he's literally, it is a dry-end track. I don't see how he's managed to do this. We could see some battles between him and his teammate if we're lucky, or will he just give up the position as soon as he realizes he's not going to grip? I don't know. But he will be hoping for the rain to just stop.
When you're fighting for a championship, I think here you've got to let them battle. Those tyres, they're old and arguably they're finished. A little bit like Fernando Alonso, some may argue. There we go. Everyone's got to embrace some fan base.
That's a disgusting statement.
So here we
go. Don't diss Fernando Alonso like that. How many world championships have you won?
Yes, well, I also suppose I haven't had the Le Mans 24-hour gifted to me because my teammates were told to stay behind me. But anyway, oh dear, JB almost having a huge slide. And that was all banter, by the way, to quote Rob Key. I don't actually have any opinion on Fernando Alonso, really. I think he's a decent driver. But here we go. Oh, the Red Bull's going to have a little bit of a scrap here. Those tyres are not going to get any younger from TNK. Of course, struggling along and actually running out of energy is JB, so whatever move he is going to have to make, it's going to have to wait.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Of course, you said his tyres aren't going to get any younger. That's because they'll only get older, because that's how maths works. It's going to be interesting because I said I was going to bet my hair on the fact that it was going to get drier. I'm now going to retract that bet, and I'm instead going to say if it doesn't get drier, I won't do anything. And if it does get drier, I also won't do anything because I don't know what's going to happen towards the end of this race in this weather because I'm not the weatherman. As I just see JBX getting a bit loose on the exit there. The Red Bull seems to be a bit loose on its rear tyres. Of course, TK can handle that because he's a good driver. JBX, of course, is an absolute fraud in the best car, of course. That's how it works. As JBX actually, as I say that, gets a 3-second time penalty. So I'm obviously the most correct person there's ever been. I'm going to start a wildfire by asking this, but who is your top 5 in terms of F1 drivers of all time?
So, of all time, I think when it comes to discussions about Formula One drivers, you've got to purely go off of statistics because I think the eras are so incomparable, really. The statistics. As by the way, just quickly before I continue, I apologise about any droppages we've got on the YouTube stream, as my OBS is darting around bitrate. We don't seem to be dropping frames particularly, but it's just having a little bit of a difficult time. So I apologise about that in advance. Hopefully it sorts itself out. One of those inexplicable internet things. But in terms of top 5 F1 drivers, I'll give you my top 3 because, well, just to offend less people, I think Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, obviously 2, can't really put them in a particular order. I think Hamilton might just edge it, as it's unfortunately a little bit before my time, Schumacher racing. So, and then to be honest with you, I'm going to put Sebastian Vettel at 3rd, purely out of generation bias, because I grew up watching Sebastian Vettel winning championships. So definitely have a soft spot, and I think back in those Red Bull days, he was unmatched.
See, but I've gone for a completely different topic. I think Jim Clark is the greatest racing driver of all time, followed by Juan Manuel Fangio, followed by Lewis Hamilton, followed by Schumacher, Senna, and I think it goes then Prost, Alonso, Graham Hill, someone else and someone else. Of course, I'm trying to remember. Where's my blinking phone out? There it is. I actually have a notes tab ready for this because I am that type of person who just projects their opinions on everyone else because I know I'm the best person of all time. Where is it? Top F1 drivers of all time. Jim Clark first, Juan Manuel Fangio second, Hamilton third, Schumacher fourth, Senna fifth, Prost sixth, Alonso seventh, Graham Hill eighth, Niki Lauda ninth, and Sebastian Vettel 10th. So,
yes, I'll continue. Sorry,
I was going to say your go is behind a man who burned his face off. So deal with it.
Well,
anyway.
My unpopular opinion is that my favourite racing driver is Anthony Davidson. He is honestly, Anthony Davidson in sports cars is an incredible driver, but obviously nowhere near the F1 greatest of all time conversation. But to be honest with you, I think the greatest of all time conversation in F1 is a little bit silly, really. I couldn't wish to comment on drivers that I didn't actually get to see with my own eyes. For example, Senna. I mean, stuff can get changed over the years. I mean, you know, did Jim Clark really cut out the engine to save? Did he really, or has it been exaggerated over the years? I mean, we'll never know. There's no footage of it. So I think really sometimes it can be a bit of an arbitrary comment to make to say someone was better than someone else when the cars are so different, and really you're never going to see them. And the thing with racing as well is you never truly know who's the better driver. There's a huge dive! Oh my word, what a move! From JB! He's just about held on to it as well. That is unbelievable. No love lost at Red Bull.
Most audacious move I've ever seen in my life, and I've watched Kamui Kobayashi. That is Kobayashi if he took 5 million grams of steroids and then did something else to himself as he overtook the other car there. JBX into the lead. He just goes, "Thank you, have a nice day, see you later. I'm going to go up your inside and I don't care what the result is." That is very audacious. And going back to your Anthony Davidson point, my favourite driver of all time is obviously Sebastian Buemi, because I met him at Goodwood 2013 and he was the only driver who actually stopped to say hello. But that's my personal go. Anyway. Let's have a look and see what else is going on. I don't think there's anything else going on. That was the craziest dive bomb I've ever seen in my life. And as I said, I watched Kamui Kobayashi when he was in F1.
And it was clean, almost, is the thing. There was minimal contact.
That's debatable. He did whack him out of the way as he went through.
I didn't have a great angle of it, so I may be, if I see the replay, maybe taking back my amazing move comment and maybe some penalties. But that is a move of someone who's going to lose points in the championship and just thinks, well, if I get in the lead of the race, then I gain points. If I don't, then we both lose points and I stay in the lead of the championship. So
If he doesn't, he's going to sit behind like a grandma.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So we can let it slide, given the circumstances. I say.
I mean, he let his car slide into his teammate's path when he did that move, but we move. And it seems that it's not going to dry up. So I'm glad I retracted my statement about my hair, because I don't like eating follicles, believe it or not. As we see, what else? Is there anything else going on? SC is close behind Lazy Killer. This has been the Lazy Killer of a race, to be honest. It's not really. There's been stuff happening here and there, but it's kind of like a case of you got to waffle a little bit. As we see, we've got ERS deployed for SC. He's going to try and go to the outside. Nope, to the inside. He's going to do the switch, what's it called, the dummy, as he goes up the inside in towards here. Oh, he actually avoids contact there for once as he comes out of turn 3, yellow flags. Someone's gone off. Oh, it's Jaggerin. Jaggerin is out. Please be a safety car. That'll be dramatic. No, it isn't. Of course, it isn't. This game is biased against commentators who want to have fun, as SC is still trying to battle with Lazy Killer round the outside, but it's not going to work. Never was, really, to be honest.
In the dry, maybe.
So Jaggerin
not in the wet.
turn 1.
Yes, Jaggerin not having the greatest of days, and I think I want to forget about this. That does guarantee Felix in the McLaren some points after his topsy-turvy day. As well. I think we know which way this race is going to go. Now, for the sake of there being no penalty afterwards, I think the Red Bulls would be a bit silly to protest each other unless there was some sort of extra team dynamic there. JB sets the fastest lap of the race. He's now gaining on his teammate and he needs 3 seconds. I'll put the penalties up on the board for a second. His teammate's on 17 lap-old mediums. He needs 6 tenths per second in the final 2 laps to get the win of this race. SC will want to get onto the podium here. Lazy Killer will want to defend this podium like his life depends on it, if I get my words out eventually.
Yeah, he wants to defend it like it's his firstborn child on the line. I mean, I don't know how old he is. He's probably about 15 years old now in my look. But if he has a firstborn child, he'll want to defend it. Anyway, what am I waffling on about? Not much, really. As we come towards towards turn 4, it's still a very greasy track surface. It just seems that the co-master squad heard my comments about the rain and just said, no, you're not having a dry track, lad. As we come towards the end. Maybe it'll be after the checkered flag game on my look that we get DRS enabled. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. I mean, even TNK could lose his second place here because is he losing time? Let's just have a look at his lap
not
times.
Really.
TNK. Hold on. He's setting 1:14.3s and Lazy Killer is setting 1. Oh, okay, he's slower. Never mind. Oh, I've got a glitch in my game.
Resolved it.
No.
Don't worry about it. I'll take the last lap then as you try and get sorted. But, well, SC going to try and get ahead of Lazy Killer. It's his last opportunity to nick this podium away from the very hopeful AlphaTauri. He looks to the outside. It's staunch defence once more. But is there a chance for a switchback? Perhaps not in the wet, and the traction is just not good enough now. He's going to have to use all 9% of the ERS that he has left. Goes to the inside. The AlphaTauri looks to block him off the best he can. Down the inside goes the Ferrari, and he's going to get the move. Is he? The switchback will have to work for the AlphaTauri, but the podium has been snatched from his grasps all race. He's defended all sprint races as well, and he goes back around the outside trying to get this move at any cost possible. He's got a 3-second time penalty as well. It won't matter as we switch to JB as the championship has reached one of its major flashpoints with that move to get the lead of this race, but he's going to extend his lead in this championship when all is said and done. Gets ahead of his teammate by 3.8 seconds. He doesn't no stop, and it's crazy into the final corner. It's CTF who gets into the podium position, but it won't matter on penalties. SC climbs up. The Ferrari gets 4th regardless, and that is an incredible end to a pretty incredible race.
Yeah, this game eats dishwashers for a living. Honestly, who decided to put a race director in the middle of my screen when I was watching the side-by-side action? Honestly, whoever designed that part of the game, I hope you burned to death in a fire. Anyway,
a bit harsh.
I'll try and join that session.
Views are his own, by the way.
What do you say?
I said views are his own.
I mean, if you believe anything other than that, you deserve to also be thrown into a pit and burned. Can you go back to the session, please, just so I can see what the results are and stuff?
Well,
Uh,
what's a race? What's a race? SC gets driver of the day. I think that's fair enough from the back of the grid. Of course, having an issue, ending up getting into third position, holding on to an incredible result. But have you got back into the game, or do you want me
no,
to
I
run
haven't.
through the
Can you bother,
results?
please?
So I'll take us through the results then as we see podium celebrations. It's a controversial one, and perhaps one where there's a post-race penalty if the Red Bulls do decide to indulge in the internal politics that's only possible in a sort of realistic division league like this one, an analogue of real life almost. Lofts the trophy in the air, does JB, one of his more controversial victories. However, it's a victory that I am sure he'll be thinking is as valuable as the rest. We'll have your race results in a moment before we outro the stream. And I think getting interviews and things set up will be a little bit rushed at this stage, so we'll sort that out for next week. But well, as we head into the final couple of rounds of this season, it's JB who beats out his teammate, came second in the sprint race, won the main race, 33 points from this one, plus a point for fastest lap. TN, the Portuguese driver, finishes in second position, Laser Killer in third, CTF in fourth, SC in fifth. I apologise, he didn't get onto the podium in the end. It looks like oh no, this is not in race order, this is in order of points gained. So you know what, I'm going to completely ignore this because this isn't the race results. You know what, forget it, you know who won. It was JB, and that is all that matters. But I'm going to ask for your closing thoughts here, Nikki, and then we'll
my
round out the
closing
stream.
thoughts on this stream are: the people who designed the Codemasters F122 game should not be allowed to make any game ever in the future in their lives. You should go and play lacrosse, I don't know, lacrosse 2K15 or handball 2K16 if you want a better game. Honestly, my overall rating for F122 is go away out of 10. I was going to say X might use version of that, but I didn't want to get cancelled. Anyway, that's me. I'm done. The game deserves to die.
Well, choice words, but thank you all as well, everyone, for watching on the YouTube stream and on the Twitch as well. I've been Tom Dillon, he's been Nikki, and we'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you all later. Good night.